A 21-year-old student asked me, Mr. Tan, what is the reason for our low birth rate and what can we do about it for our future? Now, this problem of the low birth rate has been with us for 40 years. It was first raised in the early 1980s that our birth rate was declining, and the response of the PAP government was to introduce measures to encourage graduate mothers to have more children, and they have tax incentives, they call the baby bonus, to make it attractive for graduate mothers to have more children. At that time, I felt strongly against that idea. I believe that producing children should be for all the families, not just graduate mothers. So I have been opposing that for the past 4 decades. Now, it's very sad that the PAP government continue the same policy which failed for such a long time, for 4 decades. They keep on improving the baby bonus packages for the graduate mothers, and they neglect the other parts of the population. And over the past 4 decades, the population continue to decline. Now, and the response of the government was to bring in more foreigners into Singapore to make up for the shortfall. So we have an influx of foreigners. Now that itself brings more problems because the foreigners compete for jobs against the locals, and often the locals lose out and the good jobs go to foreigners. Now, J. Raju, a active TikTok producer, talked about this in a recent video. I advise you to watch his video because he expressed a view reflecting many people who lost their jobs to foreigners. I think Jay is one of them. So the influx of foreigners create a whole new set of problems, and this has led to higher cost of living, inflation, which itself discourage families from having children. So we are now in a situation where local-born Singaporeans are a diminishing breed, and our population continue to have more and more foreigners as part of the population. There's nothing wrong with foreigners. The foreigners come here, they work very hard, they are good for our economy, but there is a basic contradiction and irony. The local-born young men have to serve national service, and they have to compete with foreigners for the jobs. And having spent 2 years full-time and additional years in reservist duty, our young men cannot get a good jobs because foreign employers prefer foreigners without national service obligations. Of course, this is not all, but this is quite a prevailing problem. So we have a lot of contradictions in our system, which is making things more and more difficult. Now, I do have a solution about what to do with this, getting more people getting more locals to have children. I do have a solution. I have expressed this many times in the past. The PAP government doesn't want to pay attention to it, but I believe that one day we need to embark on that solution so that we can have a higher birth rate in Singapore. Our future in Singapore depends upon producing more local Singaporeans and not relying upon foreigners. I do say foreigners also contribute to Singapore, but we must have more locals. Thank Thank you for listening to me.
I want to start off by highlighting the major news of the day, I think, which is that the COE for the open category has hit $144,460. Now, this is a significant increase from the previous high last month of $137,000. My word, my friends, you know, I think we live in a crazy society. Don't you think so? If our community was described as a family, we will call this a dysfunctional family. How do you pay $144,460 for a piece of paper? And it's not just the open category. Even category A, category B, all smashed the previous record. And for commercial vehicles, it also smashed the previous record, right? The previous figure was 82,889. Today, the COE for commercial vehicles is 83,801. My friends, think about the implications. When COE prices rise, it will mean that transportation costs will rise, right? Especially when the COE for commercial vehicles rise. And, you know, the end consumers are going to be the ones who take the burden. Yeah. And isn't it coincidental, or is it coincidental that in the same week we are told that transportation costs, public transport for MRT and buses, will rise by up to 10 to 11 cents every adult per trip, starting from the 23rd of December? And isn't it funny that, was it last week, that Amy Cole announced that delivery costs of water had gone up. And so that was likely to be factored into the cost of water as well. And this week as well, we were told that SingPost would be increasing postal rates from 30 to 50 cents. Or was it 51 cents? You know, my friends, that is a jump of nearly 65%. All right, a one-time jump of nearly 65%. And all this is even before the 1% hike in GST on the 1st of January 2024. My friends, many of you have already told me in private discussions or in social media, you have noticed how the food inflation has just gone crazy, right? I think recently there has been a spike in food prices again. You know, when you buy food at a hawker center, you buy drinks and all that. And maybe those increases are in anticipation of the GST rise.
My dear fellow Singaporeans, today I'm going to talk about something very important, about a democratic process. Yes, it's about your vote is secret, right? Don't ever let anyone say otherwise. I will explain why your vote is definitely secret, and we will do all we can to protect the secrecy of your votes. Right from the start, when you go to the polling station, when you vote, there are polling agents from the ruling party as well as the opposition parties like us. We will make sure that you are under no circumstances. Nobody is going to influence how you vote and who you vote. Nobody will know who you voted unless you give the answer to them. This is very important. Keep your vote secret. Do not tell anyone. Do not take photos. There's no way anyone will know who you voted. When you put your votes in a ballot box and when the polling hours are closed, the polling agents will be there to make sure that the ballot boxes are properly sealed. And sometimes we even put our own seals on the ballot boxes. This is to make sure that ballot boxes, when they are transferred from the polling station to the counting station, there are no other people that can actually mess around with it, to open it up, to check, and whatever it is. When these boxes, the ballot boxes, reach the counting centers, there's another set of counting agents for both the other parties, contesting parties, will be there to check the ballot boxes first, to check whether the seals are being broken. Only when everything is in place, then the returning officers will be allowed to open the boxes for the ballots to be counted. After the ballots are being counted and results announced, then all the votes, the counted votes in sets and everything they use in the counting process will be put back into the ballot boxes and sealed again. And this process will be observed by all the counting agents as well. And these ballot boxes will be transported to the vault, the safe, the big safe in the High Court. It is not in the election department or any place else, but the judiciary will take care of it. This will be kept for 6 months. Why 6 months? It's just in case any parties want to contest the results, and the court or judges will have the power to ask the ballot to be taken out, to be counted and recount again. Right? If there's no such contest of the results, the political party's representative will be called up by the ELD, the election department, to the High Court vault. Right? Vault, take out the boxes, and we will check again. All the ballot boxes, the seals are intact. Before these ballot boxes will be transferred to the incinerator in Tuas, and we will follow these trucks to the incinerator and witness all the ballot boxes are being incinerated. This process guarantees that your votes are secret. If anyone wanted to say otherwise, if anyone said they know who you voted for, please report to police. Why? All polling agents, whether it's at the polling stations or the counting agents at the counting centers, have to sign the oath of secrecy. If they leak out, if they ever take photos of any ballots and leak out, they will be in contravention, they will breach the Official Secret Act, and they should be investigated by the police. So if you ever have anyone who want to play punk and say, oh, I know you voted for so and so forth, right? It's a scare tactic by some people. Report them to the police, because we guarantee we will do our part, our utmost part, to guarantee your vote will remain secret to the end, to the incinerator. Thank you. 各位新加坡的同胞，你们好，我是吴明胜。今天我要讲关于新加坡的投票的民主过程。你的选票，你所投的每一票都是秘密的，尤其是对一些新移民，他们不是很了解，而且被有心人误导， 以为他们投的票都会被任何某个政党知道，而会以此失去他们的公民权。整个民主的制度的投票的制度是非常严谨，而且我们也会确保您的每一票都是秘密的，除非你自己跟别人说你投了谁，否则没有人能知道你到底是投了给谁。这是第一。整个程序里面呢，从你投票的那一时刻开始，就有我们的政党派出来的监票员在监票，确保没有人干扰你，或者是去看你投给谁。你所投的每一票进了你的票箱以后，到了投票结束的那一刻，我们也确保整个票箱是用封条封起来，也加上我们自己带去的封条把它封起来，确保在这个票箱从投票站运输到计票中心的时候，不会被人家拆开来检查。到了计票中心的时候，我们也有我们自己的监票员在当场视察每一个票箱，封条是否完好无损，之后才会把票箱打开，把票导出来算。所有的选票点算了以后，在成绩公布了以后，所有的选票会重新放进投票箱里面，又重新用封条把它封起来。然后这个过程呢，这些票箱和选票呢，将会运输到高等法院的保险库里面保存6个月。为什么呢？为什么要保存6个月？这个是以免有一些政治人物或是候选人对成绩有异议，通过法院要求重新点算，所以在这6个月里面会放在高等法院的保险库里面。过了6个月，我们政党会派代表监票的过程，就是把这些选票的票箱拿出来，再一次检查所有的封条是完好无损，然后才送到焚化厂烧了。所以整个过程里面呢，是不可能有人有机会去看到你所投的那一票到底是投给谁的。如果你又遇到有心人来跟你说，我知道你投给谁，诸如此类的话的时候，我告诉你，马上去报警。为什么呢？每一个监票员，在监票中心的监票员也好，在投票站的监票员也好，他们都必须签署一份官方保密宣誓书，他们不可以带任何摄影器材进入投票站或是计票中心，也不可以随意拿起他们的电话来拍照。所以没有一个人是可以有办法知道任何人投票给谁。如果他执意说他知道你投给谁，也就是说他犯了法，马上报警，叫警察去查他。所以我在此再一强调，身为一个政党，我们会很确实严谨的保护我们所有的选民的选票的秘密性。所以各位在下一次大选的时候，请放心的投下你那神圣的一票。 谢谢。
My friend told me about this incident. His wife, Kim, worked as a patient care associate at Changi General Hospital from 2015 to 2022. That is 7 years. She took the first 2 jabs of the COVID vaccine in early 2021 and was considered to be fully vaccinated. She suffered injuries such as breathlessness, chest pain, and weak legs after the second jab. In January 2022, she was told to take the COVID booster. She did not want to take the booster for fear of more adverse reaction. She was told to take no pay leave for 6 months. She went on leave. Now, Kim went to see Dr. X on 11th October 2022. In a letter from Dr. X, Dr. X advised Kim not to proceed with the booster of any kind because of her injuries after the first 2 jabs. She showed the letter to Changi General Hospital. The hospital ignored Dr. X's letter and terminated Kim on 30th October 2022. On 2nd November, that is 3 days later, Kim went to Sengkang Vaccination Center to check whether she should take the booster. She showed Dr. X's letter to the doctor on duty. The doctor at Sengkang said she could not give the booster to Kim because of Dr. X's advice. Kim sent this information to Changi General Hospital. The hospital refused to reinstate her employment. Kim was represented by the Healthcare Services Employees Union for the past over 1 year without any success. She is now pursuing this matter to claim financial loss for wrongful dismissal. This is what my friend told me about his wife Kim. I do not know why the hospital, Changi General Hospital, took this decision, but I want to give some of my views based upon the facts presented here. First, the danger of COVID is now largely over. We now hear of very few people catching COVID or dying from COVID. I think it is not necessary for Kim to take the booster, especially when Dr. X also advised to that on that matter. Secondly, I think it is quite unfair for Changi General Hospital to terminate Kim based upon the facts as presented. Maybe the hospital has other reason, and they should give their reason to Kim or to her husband. And thirdly, I think the union owes a duty to its members to fight the case more strongly. It is clear to me that Kim was unfairly terminated, and the union should fight the matter more strongly. Of course, I do not know the facts from the side of the hospital or the union, but clearly from the facts as are presented to me now, Kim has been quite unfairly treated, and we should not allow this unfair treatment to go unattended. Thank you.
Let's look at what measures other countries are taking who have similar concerns about voter frauds. See, in the United States, Michigan, okay, they have serial numbers on a stub which is attached to the voting card. The polling cards are checked on a scanner to make sure they are legitimate cards. After they have inspected all that, and once the cards are all good, the stubs will be, with the serial numbers, will be removed, peeled out or torn out. After that is done, then the cards are with no serial numbers attached will then be counted as votes. In Kansas State in the US, a special watermark on a polling card is used, so it cannot be reproduced, or counterfeited. Just like what we have in our banknotes lah. We have special features. Singapore notes are one of the best in the world. Cannot be counterfeited. It's so difficult. So, I know all this might cost a bit more, but what the hell lah? We are already wasting our money paying you all a high salary for doing nothing. Since I'm coming up with all these ideas for you guys, let's spend a bit more to safeguard democracy. See, this will get the citizens to have more trust in the system in place. That's all I'm saying. Apart from this, I have another question, actually, for the Prime Minister and the ruling party. What if in the future, a ruling party, maybe in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years to come, a ruling party goes rogue and decides to use this system to punish anyone voting against them? Neither you or I can predict the characters of future ministers, correct? We cannot what? So that's why I'm saying, again, I would like to advise PAP on my next point, which is a very important point. Everybody needs to listen to this. Maybe in another 30, 40, 50 years, maybe you guys you never thought of this angle, but I did. But let me point out to you what this could be. See, a corrupted or a rogue government in the future can also find out how the votes were cast and which area had the highest vote for the opposition, and can use that information to redraw electoral boundaries, separating the boundaries for the next elections.
பல்வேறு அரசியல் கட்சிகளை சேர்ந்த தேர்தல் வேட்பாளர்கள் ஒரு பொதுவான நோக்கத்தை கொண்டுள்ளனர், அதுதான் மக்களுக்கு சேவையாற்ற வேண்டும் என்று விருப்பம். ஆளும் கட்சியின் வேட்பாளர்கள் சிங்கப்பூரை ஆட்சி புரிவதில் சிறந்தவர்கள் என்றும் பிற கட்சிகளை சேர்ந்தவர்கள் பாதகமானவர்கள் என்றும் விவரிப்பது தவறானது. வேட்பாளரைகளை மதிப்பீடு செய்வதற்கான முக்கிய தகுதி அவர்கள் மக்களுக்கு சேவையாற்றுவதில் கொண்டுள்ள நோக்கம், மாறாக தங்களது நலன்களுக்கு சேவையாற்றுவதில் கொண்டுள்ள நோக்கமல்ல. தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்ட பல நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள் சராசரி மக்களின் துன்பங்களையும் எதிர்கால நோக்கங்களையும் பற்றி நாடாளுமன்றத்தில் மிகவும் குறைவாகவே பேசுவதை நாம் கண்டுள்ளோம். பலர் நாடாளுமன்ற அமர்வுகளில் போதுமான அளவில் பங்களிப்பது கூட இல்லை அல்லது பங்கேற்கும் போது வேண்டிய இடத்தில் பேசுவது கூட இல்லை. சிலர் நாடாளுமன்றத்தில் தூங்குவதும் உண்டு. இந்த வேட்பாளரையும் அவரது முன்னாள் குறையை கொண்டு அவரை தகுதி குறைவாக மதிப்பீடு செய்ய வேண்டாம். யாரும் உன்னதமானவர்கள் அல்லர். எதிர்காலத்தில் மக்களுக்கு சேவையாற்ற அவர்களுக்கும் நாம் வாய்ப்பளிக்க வேண்டும். இது ஆளும் கட்சியின் வேட்பாளர்களுக்கும் பொருந்தும், மற்ற கட்சி வேட்பாளர்களுக்கும் பொருந்தும். எதிர்க்கட்சிகளின் வேட்பாளர்கள் பலர் மிகுந்த முனைப்புடன் மக்களுக்கு சேவையாற்ற விருப்பம் கொண்டுள்ளனர். தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்படும் வாய்ப்பு கிடைத்தால் பலருக்கு உயர்வான தகுதி இல்லாவிட்டாலும் அவர்கள் ஒரு நல்ல நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினராக பணியாற்றும் திறன் கொண்டவர்கள். தற்போதைய நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள் அவர்களின் நாடாளுமன்ற பணியை ஏதோ ஒரு பகுதி நேர பணி என்ற போக்கில் அதிக நாட்டமின்றி செயல்படுவது போல் இல்லாமல் மிகவும் சிறப்பாக பணியாற்றக்கூடியவர்கள். நாம் மக்களுக்கு சேவையாற்ற விருப்பம் கொண்டுள்ள, முனைப்புடன் செயல்படும் நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர்களுக்கு வாக்களிக்க வேண்டும். நன்றி.